It's time for To the Max Sports, where we talk about sports. They're just two guys, Max and Drew, in a bar talking all things sports. Well, without the bar. And the beer. Wait, why aren't we in the bar?
Hey folks, I am Drew Moeller. Welcome to the Flying Whipper Production Studios and Take It to the Max Sports. I'm running solo tonight with brother Bob. We gave Jeff the night off. Max, I believe, is on vacation still. So at some point, we'll be back to full strength. This is an interactive show, so we like to have people come in and out and give us their hot sports opinions. And having said that, Bob, open invitation to anyone out there. If you're in the San Antonio area and you listen to us, or you're vacationing in San Antonio, reach out to Bob if you got a hot sports opinion.
Yeah, and if you're on the Twitter, our big announcement for this week is we are now on the Twitter. So cool. So if people want to reach out to us on Twitter about being on the show, in fact, I meant to get on the Twitter here and post a link to the show, but I'm going to do that now.
Yeah, we just like to have a lot of fun, talk sports. So reach out to brother Bob via the avenues that we gave you and come on up on our show and have a hot sports opinion. And Bob, any over-unders or predictions on how long it'll take before we're banned from Twitter?
Oh, I think many people have paved the way for what we shouldn't do on Twitter. That I think we're pretty good about what not to do there.
Okay. Stay away from those conspiracy theories. Hey man, what'd you think of the CFP final game? Did it live up to the hype?
It definitely redeemed the CFP from the semifinals. I mean, it was a good game and it was in contention the whole way.
Yeah.
If Bryce Young doesn't throw up that pick six at the end, does he do what he did to Auburn, to Georgia?
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a good game. It was competitive. The first half was more your daddy style football, which was okay with me, probably because I had the under. Can you believe at the end of the first half, 15 points were scored? Okay. It was 9-6.
First CFP championship game that didn't have a touchdown in the first half.
Think about this. It was 9-6, 15 points. I got it at 52, under 52. So I got a lot of wiggle room there. I got 36 points in the second half. So at that point, I'm like, man, with that much wiggle, it's almost like insurance and blackjack. I'm going to go ahead and take 25 points in the over in the second half. And I got some, a 10-point wiggle room there. Man, I'll be darned if Alabama goes down there and scores a cheap touchdown, I'd lose the over for the game. Obviously, I'd win the over for the second half, but I was actually able to middle it because the line was 52 and at 15 in the first half. That gave me some room to go ahead and jump on the over in the second and then have quite a bit of room there for the hopefully fall in the middle, which it luckily barely did. But, as the game progressed, I kept thinking, I'll tell you what, Alabama's not putting these guys away. It seemed like they started out strong. They punched him in the mouth, but they couldn't punch the ball across the goal line. And whenever you let a team hang around like that, and it looks like you're the more dominant team, which I thought definitely in the first quarter, Alabama to me came across as the more physical, dominant team. Well, Bryce Young looked good, and the Bennett kid, he looked a little shaky to start the game.
Alabama was definitely more mentally prepared in that first half. I mean, my takeaway from the first half was if Georgia doesn't commit 8 gajillion mental errors, are they winning 3 or 4 touchdowns up on Alabama's 9? Yeah. It seemed like every third down they had was third down 9, third down 11, or they were starting with first and 15 or first and 20. It was insane.
The long fields and the mental mistakes. So it's 9-6 at the halftime. Mm-hmm. What were you thinking going into the half? What was your thought process?
I was looking forward to Katy Perry, and then I was very disappointed.
That was horrible. That was horrible. Kids, how old are you, Bob?
I'm old enough.
Okay. I'm 56, and I'm sure, well, I know the music that I listened to when I was a kid, my parents were like, this is awful and blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you what, go back, kids, and listen to some 70s music. I don't care what genre. You're really missing out on some good music when you have to listen to that electric crap. I don't know what, it was terrible.
Well, I
Terrible.
mean, we got the robot dog, which was happy for me, but getting back on topic, I mean, I was a little nervous that we were going to have a second half like the first half, just a contest of field goals.
See, I didn't feel that because I knew both teams were moving the ball. Alabama a little more so, but even Georgia had, I think, that long pass in the first half.
Yeah.
So the teams were moving the ball. It was void of that big play, and I felt like, which typically happens in the second half, things are going to loosen up a little bit. The offensive coordinators, players are going to settle down. The offensive coordinators are going to have a chance to have some second and third looks on film.
Mm-hmm.
And, sure enough, second half opened up, and it was an exciting game, the second half.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, there was a lot of talk at the beginning of the, beginning of the week and actually into yesterday about, CFP expansion. And quite frankly, I don't know if we had 8 teams or 12 teams in the playoffs, we don't end up in the same bloody place.
We probably do. Again, it's an opportunity to make more money. And to Jeff's point from last week, and even Max's, he's made that point before, to watch more quality football,
Well, until the NCAA gets their collective heads out of their collective asses,
that's not going to happen.
About some sort of national structure, national playoff, to get to where the NFL is, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, about parity, you are going to have the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah. You're
going to have the programs where the NIL gets you players that are coming in that want to be in a big program, rather play for Alabama than, middle, BF Ohio State or whatever.
I just think it's the nature of the beast. You're going to see most of your 5 stars going to these 5-star Alabama, Georgia. Those are the 2 that come to mind immediately. And, the good thing is, to Jeff's point and the other week, is if I'm a 5-star recruit, why not go to Alabama? You know what? If another 5-star recruit beats me, okay, so I enter the portal and off to Oklahoma I go, or Ohio State,
I think the only chance we have to get to a different place right now is somebody remove Nick Saban from the equation. Until Nick Saban retires, I think Alabama will be there every year, and we'll just rotate in another SEC team.
Yeah, I mean, he's the Bill Belichick, I say, of college football, and he's always going to field a winner. And the players know your pathway to the NFL is your best pathway is probably Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you just had a kid that was a freshman quarterback that won the freaking Heisman Trophy.
Yes,
freshman out of high school,
but then lost to a 5th-year walk-on.
Yeah, you know what though, the kid didn't play. To me, he didn't play bad enough to lose that game.
No.
So and at the end of the day, you got to remember the kid, what's 18, 19 years old.
Yeah,
and he stepped up there and he showed a lot of poise, and he's going to be good. He's going to be playing on a lot of Sundays in the NFL.
Yeah, which is amazing. You go back 5 years and say that Alabama is going to start producing NFL quarterbacks, and you'd be laughed out of the sports bar because they haven't until Mac Jones and this kid.
You want to hear something crazy? And you're going to have to fact check this while I'm talking. He was the first Heisman quarterback from Alabama.
Yep. No.
That's crazy.
That is true.
I mean, that's an amazing stat.
Yeah. Oh, and talking about stats, to go back into the film jar, I think I may have screwed up on the time code on this.
We're teams that are better than everybody else.
But
so
we
who
have,
do you have again winning the national championship?
Here we go.
On the national championship, A&M beats Alabama, and
yeah, that right.
Georgia sneaks in there.
I'm not listening to Max. I'm working on one.
And folks,
So you're saying that's not going to happen?
That's the reason why we don't give
Georgia
him the
wins
sound
national
pad.
championship. I'll take a beer on that. You can pick any other team in the Power 5 or beyond for a beer. That might complete our 6-pack.
Okay. So,
and as unsexy as this is, I don't have to go any further than Alabama.
yeah, that's what I'm saying too. So
They beat Alabama.
Though what's interesting, I was looking at the AP Top 25 against the coaches poll. They're both in agreement on the top 6. They only start to
So
differ
there
when
you
they
go.
get to 7 and 8.
Yeah, that's enough.
So, I was, Bob had just given me our little sound pad. So I'm not even listening to Max predict Georgia. I had already predicted that they would have September 9th, I think, that we did our show. So,
Yeah,
but-
and in just a few months, I mean, looking at that, I mean, our production quality has gotten better. It's not that washed out. So pat on our backs.
yeah, you know what? They say clock's right at least twice a day. Well, we got it right. I did say right there, Alabama and Georgia beats them. So it just happened that way. The fourth quarter, again, going back to that, once Bennett has that fumble that appeared to possibly a forward pass, after looking at it, I think the refs got it right. But to have that kid kind of nonchalantly pick up the ball, and then he keeps his feet in, I'm thinking, here we go, man. Winners always find a way to win. Alabama's going to win this game.
Yeah, you talking about this play?
Yeah.
In the end, but it's still a play that impacted the entire game. Bennett's going to roll out, getting pressure up the middle, and he's going to try to throw this ball away. As you can see, the ball goes forward still. Now, it's a really bad throw, but I don't believe that this is a fumble. Now, if you look at the slow motion view here, you can see that he still has control of the ball. Even here when he throws it, it rolls off of his fingers, but he still has control of it.
Yeah.
And he's throwing it, and the ball goes forward. That's the thing. The ball goes forward.
But let's go back into this.
It's not like he just.
I mean, to your point,
See the kid right there? He's just kind of,
he's just kind of nonchalanting it in. Yeah.
and he stays in.
He's like, ha!
And I'm like, here we go. He doesn't even think it's a fumble. He's just kind of picking up the ball and he stays in. Then they score. But I'll tell you what, that kid from Georgia, man, he showed a lot of moxie, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
That's a tough kid. And, it's really cool. It's kind of a Rudy-like story.
I think that's what you get when you have a 5th-year walk-on. You get a guy who's has a little bit of the world under his belt, and he's like, okay, it's going to be okay. It's all going to work out. In essence, I'm playing with house money.
Yeah. And he looked a little shaky to begin with, but I'll tell you what, when the chips were down, he brought his A game. And that was one of the reasons I like Georgia to start the season. 1, they were returning a veteran quarterback, and 2, they were returning the most starters of, I think, all the SEC teams. So I did like that experience going into it.
I mean, the best predictor of success in college football is is your recruiting class, and Georgia recruits really, really well. I mean, that was one thing we said last week. If you looked at Georgia, Michigan, Georgia had a dozen and a half, 5-star recruits. Michigan had 3. And I think if you're Alabama, you got the same thing. I mean, we're going to see a lot of these guys playing on Sundays.
Yeah. Well, Saban and Smart think the same way you do. They say we're going to be good for a long time, but it's not our fault. It's the NIL.
Well, the NIL is going to make the rich richer. and Saban and Smart, whining about not enough regulation should put the rest of NCAA football on notice that they're about to weaponize it on them. And yeah, you all aren't as smart as Nick Saban. Collectively, I'm sorry, you college coaches, you're not as smart as Nick.
Well, yeah, I mean, he knows that he is in a position to recruit the best talent in the United States to come to his program, and it's the pathway to the NFL. Alabama is, let's face it, they're the pathway to the NFL if you're a 5-star recruit, and then you're going to be getting the endorsements. And, I think this kid, that Bryce Young, has a huge endorsement before he even stepped on the field this year.
Yeah, I think it was 7 figures.
So, I mean, they're millionaires now before they even take a college snap. So the rich will get richer. I don't know how it's going to be addressed or if it can be addressed. Just expect for the next many years to come, you're going to see a lot of Alabama. You're going to see a lot of Georgia.
A lot of SEC.
A lot of SEC. Yeah. SEC will be the premier conference.
Yep, very true.
It is what it is.
So you want to move on to this past weekend and the NFL, the real guys?
Yeah, good stuff in the NFL. Why don't you kind of break down a few games as you saw?
Oh my God! I mean, what a crazy weekend! I mean, you have the Steelers who play the Ravens, win in overtime, and if that game goes to a tie, the Steelers and the Ravens both out.
Yeah.
Steelers win. Colts lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is proof positive. And it's kind of the nice flip side from college football where, you know, a 35th ranked team in college football is not going to challenge an Alabama or a Georgia.
Right.
Whereas you have Jacksonville, who's playing for the top pick in the draft, wins a game. And I forget whether they lost the pick or whatever. There was
no, they saved it because Detroit
wins.
Detroit bumbled and they won. So Jaguars won and still were able to retain. But
the Colts looked horrible.
But how would you like to be a Pittsburgh fan saying, you know, of all the scenarios, one includes the Jaguars beating the Colts at Indianapolis.
And then you're like sitting there, if you're a Steelers fan, you're like, hey, wow, the Colts lost, so we're in. And then somebody just whispers in your ear going, yeah, but if the Raiders and Chargers tie, and you're like, that'll never happen. Ties never happen in football.
Just one missed field goal away.
Well,
from a
one don't call a timeout.
Don't call a timeout.
Now, in his defense, the reason why he called a timeout, I think, was valid. He was like,
what are we talking about?
The last timeout that the Chargers called.
I just want to make sure that everyone knows we're talking about.
Yeah, and you know, it was 3rd and 4. Chargers call a timeout, and how he explained it was, you know, we knew it was going to be a run, and we needed our best run package, and it makes sense. But then you listen to the post game press conference with Bisaccio from the Raiders, and he goes, yeah, we were really thinking about just running the timeout and just taking the tie.
Yeah, well,
and I know you said in the pre-show, you know, the NFL is going to investigate, but what are they going to investigate? If I'm a coach in the NFL and I have a chance to make the playoffs, don't I take the chance to make the playoffs? And the path of least resistance for the Raiders, after they exchanged field goals in overtime, the best chance was just run the clock out.
You know, and I didn't think about that, but to a degree, that could be an argument. I think the league still would have looked if they hadn't made any attempt to win the game, because you are manipulating the draft to a certain degree, you know, because drafts are based on wins and losses.
Then don't give us a 10-minute overtime that has the potential to end in ties.
But to run the clock out, and I guess you could fake it by running the clock out by just running the ball, and that's I mean, I don't think they would have been blatant about it, but to just run the ball, and that's what the Raiders were doing. They were running the ball. And if the Chargers had a better defense on 3rd and 4 and didn't let them burst up the middle for 10, we're in the nightmare scenario where both those teams make it because they have a tie. It was a strange game. Any other games that stood out to you this weekend?
My Niners beating the Rams. Beat down in SoFi. What surprised me about that game was if you listen to the crowd noise, there were more 49ers fans there than there were Rams fans.
49ers fans travel well.
Well, we kind of have their number. It's kind of a streak. Yeah. It's 6 in a row now.
Well, you guys have turned it around, and I'll tell you what, we'll get into this week's games, but you know, Garoppolo is starting to show some consistency.
He pissed me off in the first half. He looked bad to me in the first half. I wanted more out of him, and everything in the second half was awesome. Yeah. And they came back, and the Rams just didn't close him out. But the first half looked bad.
Yeah, they're hot. They're hot at the right time, and that's always a good thing. Not if you're facing them, but it's a good
not
thing.
If you're a Cowboy fan. Sorry, Cowboys fans.
I do think, you know, a lot of people are saying, hey, they're going to beat the Cowboys. I think they do. I think they do run into a buzzsaw. Let me tell you this: if the 49ers can keep the game in the 20s, 49ers probably win the game. If they can't, if the game goes into the 30s or 40s, and it's a high-scoring game, they can't outrun the Cowboys. They can't match them.
Really?
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think so. The Cowboys have enough offensive weapons. Their defense is just good enough. I think at the end of the day, Garoppolo is going to be more prone to making a mistake than Prescott. But again, if that front line of the 49ers puts pressure on Prescott, he's not a quarterback now that seems to want to tuck the ball in and run anymore. And if they put some pressure on him and they keep that score, I could easily see San Francisco 28-24, 28-27. But if it gets into the 30s, anything 30 or higher, Dallas wins.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
What I was surprised, because I mean, I have a lot of Cowboy fan friends, and I've been beating them up about, hey, it's the postseason.
You have friends?
I do have friends. They cost me lots of money every week. And I have a lot of recency bias, and I'm like, okay, we own you, Cowboys, in the playoffs. So I looked this up, and opposite is true. Cowboys are actually 5-2 in postseason against the 49ers.
Yeah.
Cowboys own all time 19-17-1. So history maybe not be on my side.
Well, it's been a great rivalry, and I'm sure it'll be a great game. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, I want Kittle in the end zone, jumping to the height of his vertical leap, catching a ball with time running out. Let's just relive the catch.
We'll see. I was around, sir. I saw Joe Montana. Garoppolo is no Joe Montana.
No, he's actually much more handsome than Joe Montana.
You know, I thought Joe was a good-looking guy.
No, I didn't.
I'm going to have to go with Joe.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm with you, Joe.
So
the little cleft chin just did it for me every time.
So your Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Las Vegas Raiders, who all season long I was looking at them going, this is a dumpster fire. They had what? They had one player vehicular manslaughter or murder, depending on how that charge ends up.
A DWI.
The recent DWI. The other player who was brandishing a weapon and was released by the team. The misogynist, sexist coach. Just it's like how do we get them in the playoffs?
I'll tell you what, if they win if they beat the Bengals, I guess should be coach of the year, and I do think he should keep his job. They haven't fired him yet, have they?
No, they haven't fired him yet. It's still,
he earned that job.
He deserves something.
He earned that job.
Yeah, and I don't think they stand a chance against the Bengals. I
their
think
secondary's not good enough.
I think Burrows and Chase are just going to light them up.
Yeah, the Raiders have some issues on their secondary, and the Bengals should light them up. And
then what else do we have? We have New England Buffalo on Saturday. New England at Buffalo. I think that'll be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, the weather's supposed to be horrific. I think Buffalo has played a lot of teams close. Lost some games they shouldn't. Play teams close to the fourth quarter. But I think this is going to be more of a blowout than you expect. I love Mac Jones. That was another prediction. Start of the season, I said Mac Jones would be the starting quarterback when the season started. He was. But I have a couple rules. These are hard, fast, true rules. In December, I don't bet against Seattle at home. I don't bet against KC at home in December. And I don't like rookies on the road. And this is a rookie on the road. I see being close maybe for a quarter. Buffalo pulls away 30-13, 30-10.
Cheapest ticket right now in the wild cards. You can get a ticket for that game as low as $26 on the secondary.
That's pretty
market.
Cool. Well, if you want to sit and below freezing temperatures with a 25-degree below wind chill and freeze your ass off, it's I think you deserve that.
Yeah, but they're slightly hardier than us down here in South Texas.
That's true.
It gets 40 degrees and we're putting on our big parkas.
That's true.
And then Sunday we get Philadelphia Eagles at Tampa Bay.
Philadelphia. Who would have thought that they would have been in?
I did not. And
you thought that was a dumpster fire?
I still think it's a dumpster fire, and I am probably going to be taking a nap in the first game on Sunday.
That's Philadelphia and
at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's a Brady time.
Yep,
you know?
and then we end that day Pittsburgh at Kansas City.
At KC, my rule, the Ben we'll see in Cooperstown.
That's a 12.5 point spread.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. And I was listening to somebody.
The freaking defense is horrible.
I forget who I was listening to, and they were going, do you think that Ben was sitting there on Sunday watching the Charger Raider game going, if it ends in a tie, I'm done and I don't have to play next week.
Well, I don't believe it. I think the guy knew, but supposedly when I was reading something where he gave the off the field interview right after the game, they told him he was in, that they were in. He's
really?
Like, oh, really? Now, how you don't have one eye on a scoreboard in an NFL stadium during a game is beyond me, but maybe he was in the zone. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. And then we end on Monday night. And I'm still trying to figure out how the heck we get a Monday night game in the wild card round.
Hey, I'm not complaining.
No, I'm not complaining.
I get to watch Saturday football, Sunday football, and a Monday game. That's pretty cool.
And Arizona at Los Angeles. And what's crazy about this is
could go either way.
Out of the NFC West, the three teams that made it, it's the third worst one, which you look at and go, this is a team I want in the playoffs. Arizona and Los Angeles, they're backsliding.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is a game of not of who's going to win, it's who's not going to lose it.
It's which quarterback doesn't lose it.
Well, after Stafford's performance this weekend against the Niners, I'm like, I don't know if I trust Stafford anymore.
Future Hall of Famer Matt Stafford?
No.
Or was that Matt?
No.
No, Matt, I don't trust the guy. I actually could see Arizona possibly pulling off what I would consider to be the first upset. I would still say that the Cardinals beating the Rams at this point would be an upset. I don't know what the line is. I'm going to say, where are they playing at, L.A.?
Yeah.
I'm going to say L.A. minus 6.5.
Let's try and pull it up here as we're talking.
See how close I am. Haven't looked. Full disclosure. L.A. minus 6.5.
Let's see. There it is. No, LA Rams minus 4.
Yeah, that's close.
Over under at 49.5.
It'll be 6.5 by the time the game starts.
49.5 for an over under on that game seems a little low.
Seems a little low. I agree.
And the 49 Cowboy over under is actually 51.
It's tough. The weather's going to be a factor. Going to be a lot of wind, some cold fronts moving in. I know it's going to be cold in Dallas. I think it's going to be in the high 40s, but they're playing in the.
They're playing at AT&T. It doesn't matter.
It'll be fine. Yeah, room temperature.
Jimmy G's thumbs just got to be okay. I was in the first half of the rain game. I was worried that his thumb was acting up, but
okay. So real quick, who you take? I'll go ahead and take Cincinnati. I don't know if I'd like them to cover the points, but Cincinnati, I like them.
Okay.
I like Buffalo to move on. I like. I'm going to have to go with Dallas, not because I'm trying to go against you. I just think that they've had a more consistent season. But you never know with Dallas. And then the last game, oh, man, you know what? Only because LA's defense has some incredibly talented players, I'm going to give them the slight edge in the close game and go with LA.
Yeah, I think I'm mostly with you on this. I think the Raiders Cinderella or whatever you're going to call this season has run its course. Bengals win that game running away. Joe Burrow and Chase are just going to light them up. I have a rule too. It's never tug on Superman's cape, to pee into the wind, and don't bet against Bill Belichick. I think Belichick will make the most out of Mac Jones. So I'm going to take the Patriots just because of my rule. But I think I want to see Josh Allen. I want to see some success for the Bills.
Yeah.
And for the Bills fans. I'll take the Buccaneers over the Eagles and lay the 9. I'm definitely taking the Niners over the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Give me those points. Steelers are a 12.5 point underdog. That's a lot of points, but yeah, Patrick Mahomes. And Monday night, who'd you take? You took the Rams, didn't you?
I took the Rams just because I like the defense. They got more defensive weapons than.
I think there's a lot of pressure on the Rams. They traded away pretty much everything to get to where they are. I think top to bottom talent wise, they have the possibility to rise to a good level. And I think both these teams play the game they should play. I think you're probably right. I think the Rams probably win.
So let's wrap it up with some, every year we have new coaches. One of our deals that we did first couple shows was all rating the new coaches, and some of them are gone already. So who'd have thought? I mean, we knew Urban is gone. Do they? I don't know what they do. They got problems. Who do you think was unfairly let go? Not given enough time, or who should have gone?
Well, I mean, you're giving me a softball. I mean, the one is Brian Flores at Miami. I have no idea why you let a guy go that went 8-1 in his last 9 games.
Yeah, I don't know if there's some issues there, personnel behind the scenes issues going on. I'm sure it'll come out. I think he deserved a second chance. They certainly got hot at the end. It seemed like they kind of, even though no one wanted to admit it in the organization, they kind of accepted Tua at some point, and said, hey, this is who we're going to roll with. But, it's the thing about the Dolphins, they're in perpetual instability. They're like Detroit Lions, man. You just, at some point, in today's NFL, if you looked at, and I don't know if you can Google it, but Google up coach of the Cowboys, original coach, Landry. Google up his first 3 years with the Cowboys, first 3 or 4 years, his record. He couldn't last in the NFL nowadays with the record he had with the Cowboys his first couple years, because there's just not enough time. These owners, it's one and done, maybe 2 seasons if you're lucky. And Miami's just they've got to get some stability. They got to decide on the quarterback. I don't know if they make a play for Watson at the end of the year or what they do, but they've got to say, this is our quarterback. Here's our coach now, and just roll with it, man, because teams like Detroit. Now, I do like this Detroit coach. He did a good job, and his teams were competitive. Would you agree with that, Bob?
Detroit?
The coach for Detroit, the first-year coach?
Yeah.
I mean, they won some games, and he had them in the games. So, and every time I watched him play, they didn't quit on him. Who should have been fired that was fired?
Oh, hold on. I actually, to your point, Tom Landry didn't have a winning season as a coach until 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, until the 7th season.
Okay, 7 seasons. So if Tom Landry was the coach of the New York Giants, he was named the coach tomorrow, do you think the New York Giants would give him 7 years to have a winning season?
Well, I think they give him a 7-year contract and fire him after 2.
There you go.
The last 3 coaches for the Giants haven't lasted more than 2 years.
But the point is, and I can go down and name some other coaches.
But interestingly enough, Garrett lasted 10 years as a middle of the road coach.
Yeah,
for
but he didn't have 3 or 4 consecutive losing seasons. I mean, you just let a coach
3 and 4 consecutive 500 seasons.
You just let a coach go there that had an 8-1, like you said, an 8-1. Was it 8-1? Maybe an 8-2. I don't know.
8-1 over the last 9.
Okay, and they let him go.
Yeah.
Who was fired that you think should have been fired?
Who wasn't fired that should have been fired?
No, the ones that were fired. Let's just talk about
who should have been fired.
The firings.
Oh yeah, definitely Joe Judge needed to go. He needs to shut his mouth. Zimmer.
Zimmer's.
He had to go.
He had to go. They didn't meet expectations.
Yeah.
The Broncos, Fangio will find a good place.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nagy definitely needed to go.
Yeah.
But they're hitting the reset and getting a new GM as well. So we'll see where that goes.
You can almost correlate all these firings though with quarterback instability. I mean, it really, you've got to be on the same page with your quarterback, and I don't think Zimmer connected well with Cousins, even though Cousins had a pretty decent year, but there was a lot of other issues going on there with Vikingville. He's a great defensive mind, so he's going to land pretty quick a defensive job somewhere.
But here's the thing that I don't understand about NFL owners and NFL front offices. One of the best predictors of long-term consistent success in any professional sporting endeavor is consistency in your coaching staff. You look at baseball, you look at basketball, you look at football. In the NFL, you don't have to go any further than Foxborough and the New England Patriots. How long has Belichick been there? Can we remember the last coach before Belichick? No, we really can't.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin. I don't think Pittsburgh has had more than 4 coaches in its entire history. Consistency. So unless the coach is really, really, really underperforming, I think you almost need to give them the time. To your point, you need to give them the time.
Yeah.
So the Giants are going to be in the same boat next year or the year after. Yeah. The Bears are still going to be in the same boat.
The Jets.
So
they fire their coach next year. Probably.
And I like Saleh. Don't get me wrong. So if you're a Bears fan, you're gonna have to ride it out for 3 or 4 years to get them to right that ship, and all those other teams.
I think Houston did it right. They stuck with their guy, and they made some progress. They play competitive. I think Detroit's doing it right. They stuck with their guy at least for another year, but who knows? These teams start off with 2-5 records next year. They're probably gone. But at the end of the day, I guess the moral of the story is give your coach a 3-year contract, 5-year contract, but at least give him 3 years, okay? Unless he's out there getting lap dances or
the bigger problem.
And even then, give him a couple more games. You don't have to fire. Oh, they did. That's right. He got lap dance and he lasts a couple more games.
The bigger problem with that wasn't the lap dance. It was he did not ride the plane home with the team. I think that was the bigger error.
Well, the lap dance, okay, that's stupidity. But the minute he bailed out on his team, you're right. He should have been fired. The minute the plane landed, he should have been fired. He should have been fired in the middle of the lap dance because the team was already on the plane without him.
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyway, we digress, folks. We had a great show. Feel free to make comments. We're on Apple.
We're on all the places where you get your fine formed podcasts. We do have a new Twitter account, To The Max Sports. So we'll be posting some content up there. Drew lets me run the Twitter account, so you'll see snarky stuff from me on that, and
that's okay.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Snark.
Just don't get us banned.
And Mr. Hate. I will not get us banned. We will only talk about sports because there's enough drama in sports, so we don't need to go anywhere
you can
else.
say some stuff in sports that'll get you banned. But we're gonna have good, clean fun and good, wholesome tweets or twits or
we're gonna have good, clean fun. I don't know if they're gonna be wholesome.
Guys, we'll see you next week. Hopefully we'll be back to full strength with either Max or Jeff beside me. The Penguin did a good job. He didn't have a lot to say, but that's the way it goes.
And if you think you can be more animated than a penguin, give us a call.
We'll put you up here.
We'll put you on here. We may even let you call in.
Yep.
So thanks, guys. And we're out.
Ayo.